us, it's St. Andrew's Square, and we don't have St. Andrews on the top of the column, but we've got Henry Dundas, and that's where a lot of the wealth is coming from, which we can see nowadays.
Still beat us by 20 years.
Pardon?
Still beat us by 20 years.
Spire, can you see it like a church tower sitting beneath of that huge monument? On the right hand side, it's the old town with the wonderful spire of St. Giles Cathedral in a form of a crown. And we're going along Princes Street. It's the main shopping street of Edinburgh, the case. And only on New Year's Eve, how many in the world for a writer? And the writer is Sir Walter Scott. Did you hear of him?
Yes. Ivanhoe.
Oh yeah, so he's famous in America too. Or does it happen that I have some English literature teachers here? And it was the first purpose-built archive, state archive of the world. And if you're one of the 7 million Scottish people who left Scotland, who live out of Scotland, then you would come here to do family research. So we've got a lot of Americans coming to Scotland to look into their history and tracing back their ancestors. 1930s, it's a Scottish government building, and it's one of the very rare buildings from the 30s here in Scotland. We've got a lot of them in Berlin, of course, and in Italy, but it's quite, outstanding. Many people do not like it. They think it's not fitting very well in the historic city. On the left-hand side, it's another wonderful building. It's the Royal High School, and it's going to be a school for the specialist music school. So our children, you can see, if you look a bit of the building, can you see it's the palace on the left-hand side?
Yeah, way back.
Yeah, it's a place where Mary, Queen of Scots, lived when she came back to Scotland. We've got the Queen's Gallery with masterpieces from Buckingham Palace, from the Queen's collection. No water is flowing, so it means the Queen is not there yet. That old building, behind that building, is the Institute for Teachers, Murray House. It belongs to the university on the left. And that's the place where J.K. Rowling trained as a teacher. You know the story probably. She came to Edinburgh as a single mom with a baby. She was living from benefits. She was starting to write, and in our days she's richer than the Queen. So she gained more wealth with her books than the Queen has with all her properties. Right here was a gate, the Netherbow Gate, and people couldn't leave the gate, because they didn't have the money to pay the entrance tax, to go into the city back again. It means most of the people of the Edinburgh people were stuck into the overcrowded old town and have never seen the wonderful sea, have never seen the wonderful mountains surrounding Edinburgh. So we're just confined to that space here. We're turning left. If you look straight up, that's again St. Giles Cathedral with the crown spire from the Renaissance time. It's the main church of Scotland. When his master died, for 14 years, that little Skye Terrier would stay next to the grave of his master. And the graveyard is right behind Greyfriars Bobby pub. And only at 1 o'clock every day, little Bobby, which you can see now, here's the statue on the right, look on the right hand side, he would walk out of the cemetery, you can see on the right hand side, and he would get a drink and something to eat. If you're having lunch later on, you can come back. So there's a lot of lovely pubs here.
handle in there. And any buildings here.
Another owl. So the dog that when you touch his nose, you're going into the cemetery. This is the dog's grave from the Disney movie. I'll put it up on the screen. Cool thing about this cemetery is J.K. Rowling actually took some of the names from the headstones and used them as characters in the Harry Potter series. Let's see if we can find some of those headstones. Here's the Edinburgh Castle. We were just up there. This is Tom Riddle's grave, and this is where J.K. Rowling got the inspiration for Voldemort, his real name. This is like the money shot down here.
Oh, it's my magic. You're welcome.
Going into the Edinburgh dungeon. So I wanted to talk a bit about the Edinburgh dungeon and what kind of experience that was. It was interesting. It was pretty much you walk down in there and it's like a dark dungeon and you go through this walking tour and there's like these actors that will have these different roles and they'll scare you and jump out at you and stuff, and they'll like talk a bit about kind of the dark ages and stuff, and you know, when people had to resort to cannibalism and stuff like that. And so it's like a mix between like a walk through haunted house, like I think Halloween Horror Nights, like at Universal, and then kind of like an educational thing, kind of like the ghost tours in St. Augustine, if you had ever been to those. But I thought it was an interesting experience, and also later on in this trip I saw that they had the same type of thing in London, so it's like a chain of attractions. And then after the walking tour you go through this mirror maze that's a good size, and then at the very end there's this drop tower that has the very interesting theming of you're being hung, and pretty much what happens is you go up and then they flash lights in your eyes and then it drops, like, I guess kind of simulating you being hung. So I thought it was kind of an interesting little experience, and I think it's just specific to that area of Europe, but yeah, it was a very cool thing to experience.
Doing that as like a